This marriage love story is presented by marriageromance.com. The title is Golden Love Prequel to Rick and Stephanie Friendship Directory. The author is Pure Passion.
Rick and Stephanie Friendship Directory story link. It was a crisp, autumn day. Ginger's leash in hand, Stephanie paused to check the quiet, suburban street for traffic before the pair crossed into the lane, leading to the neighboring park. An explosion of colorful leaves crunched beneath her snickered feet. "Well, girl," she addressed her faithful, canine companion, who studied her with trusting, doe-brown eyes. "Let's go run." Ginger's fluffy golden ears perked up, her tail whipping excitedly against Steph's jogging shorts. It seemed staying in action was in her golden retriever's blood. She loved swimming, hiking the mountain trails, shuffling through the thick white snow. As long as she was outside, Ginger was in her element, which suited her owner just fine. The two eased into a comfortable rhythm, sneakers slapping against the pavement, Ginger keeping pace at her side. Steph allowed herself to be lost in the pulse of activity, her mind reflective on God's creation about her, curious squirrels that eyed them from the safety of the 100-year-old oak trees bordering the path, before scampering down the trunks to taunt poor, patient Ginger, who obediently stayed the course, despite her desire to take chase. "Good girl," Steph praised, pausing to catch a breath, ruffling the dog's sleek fur. As they rounded a bend, revealing a comfortable-looking park bench, Steph eased her grip on a leash, bracing her foot on the seat, bending down to retie her shoe, when, without warning, Ginger gave a sharp bark, leaping into the air, the dog leash slipping smoothly from Steph's fingers. Stephanie made a grab for the restraining lead, but came away with only air. She whirled around in time to see her dog making her way, unrepentantly, across the leaf-strewn grass to where an equally beautiful retriever frolicked in play with its owner, trotting back to the man kneeling in the dirt whose hand was extended for the yellow tennis ball, which was dropped promptly at command. Sighing in frustration, she shoved her hands in the pockets of the pink parka and loafed across the park. She saw the man look up in surprise at the loose dog running towards them, leash dragging the ground, sunlight picking out the glint of a metal eye. D. Tag on Ginger's collar that read her name in purple stitching. Ginger slowed beside the man and dog, her exhausted panting matching her owner's as Stephanie caught up to them, the dogs circling each other curiously. "I am so sorry," Steph apologized profusely, taking leash in hand, catching her breath, hands on knees, before straightening to look the dog's owner in the face. As she did, she realized she forgot to breathe again, only this time for a different reason. No wonder his dog was gorgeous. This man could be a fitness model. Rugged tanned face, sharp blue eyes, big hands, long fingers as he reached out in greeting. "Don't stress about it, happens every now and then." Rick Stratton. "And this here is Max," he said, roughing up the pet's golden fur, giving his flank a parting pat. "And who is this?" he asked, crouching down beside her dog, rewarded with a friendly lick across the face. Laughing, Stephanie gestured to the retriever who was bailing the man in kisses as if she had known him all her life. "This here is Ginger. A spunky little girl who doesn't he always like to listen," she said, half to Rick, half to her disobedient dog, who really wasn't paying her any mind, intent now on the new dog sniffing her tail appreciatively. "And who is Ginger's mommy?" Rick asked curiously, his laughing blue eyes dancing at her expense. Steph swallowed hard, trying not to notice the way the sunlight played in his warm, brown curls. "I am Stephanie, Steph for short," she managed. Rick smiled. "Well, nice to meet you, Steph." Max and I were going to head over to the lake to feed the ducks. Well, I was anyway. He'd probably think they were just food. He cocked his head, appraising her jogging attire and running shoes, collecting his dog, snapping on the lead. Care to join us? Stephanie peered over his shoulder at her dog, who was laying contentedly at Max's feet. Looks like the dog's made that decision for us. Sure, we'd love to. She followed Rick to his car, where he produced a baggie of sliced grapes and half a loaf of bread, which he held out to her. I heard once that a sole diet of white bread is hard on the duck's digestion system, so I try to mix it up a bit, he said as he slammed the trunk lid. Together, the two dogs at their own rest sides, they walked towards the shimmering body of water, dodging the foul flops along the way. As they neared the water's edge, both Max and Ginger strained at their leashes, eager to run and play. Stephanie laid a calming hand on the retriever. Sorry girl, not today. The water is much too cold. As if to emphasize her point, a sudden gust of cold wind blew over them, swirling the crisp leaves at their feet. Stephanie shivered, drawing up the zipper to her parka. Probably not the smartest decision in the world to wear shorts today, she remarked, running her hand briskly up and down her leg to stimulate circulation. But I'd planned on a full jog, then a hot shower. Here, I am actually a little warm running with Max. Use this, Rick offered, slipping out of his fleece-lined blue jacket, and before she could protest, slipped it over her shoulders. You didn't have to, but thanks, she smiled up at him, her stomach doing all kinds of flips and turns at the citrus musk cologne wafting from the collar. She felt warm and cozy, and it was doing weird, unfamiliar things to her emotions. Rick smiled back, revealing even rows of white teeth. The afternoon passed quickly, feeding the number of owl, both ducks and seagulls that had gathered to feast on the unexpected snack of grapes and breadcrumbs. After an impromptu hike through the park, Stephanie voiced her need to get back home. I am starving and Ginger here, probably Max too, needs some water. We should probably get going. Come on, Jing. Ginger looked from her owner to her handsome furry friend and back to Steph again as if it'd say, do I have to? Rick shoved his hands in the back pocket of his jeans, rocking back on his heels. Max and I were headed to Dairy Delight for a burger and cone, if we can interest you in joining. It's dog friendly, being that it's outside. I am sure we could wrangle a dish of water for the pups. What is your favorite ice cream? Cherry chip, but I don't want to impose. We've taken up a lot of your afternoon as it is. Not at all, Rick said, reaching out to touch her arm. Come join us. You want ice cream, don't you girl? He addressed the dogs, where Ginger seemed to await her owner's response. Nice negotiating, Steph returned, playfully punching his arm. You don't play fair. Rick chuckled. So you'll come. Stephanie looked from her dog, who had gotten to her feet, tail waving in anticipation, raring to go. Okay, we'll come. I'll meet you up there. Thanks for the invite. She collected Ginger, who balefully gazed behind her as they walked away, leaving dog and owner in the distance. You like them, huh girl? Stephanie asked as they reached the car. Unlocking the door, she settled Ginger on the back seat and climbed into the driver's seat. Watching Man and Canine retrace their steps back to their vehicle, she fitted the key into the ignition. Me too, Jing. Me Too. 6 months later, sunlight sparkled on the lake as friends and family streamed onto the freshly mown grass, clad in their bridal best. Stephanie's best friend, Annie, fluffed out the filmy veil that frosted Steph's loose, auburn curls, smoothing imaginary wrinkles from the simple, elegant wedding gown. She stepped back to admire Stephanie's professionally applied makeup and subtle jewels. "You make a beautiful bride, Steph. I am so honored to stand with you today. Rick is a great guy," she declared. "And how sweet to incorporate the dogs in the ceremony." Stephanie gave her hand a pat, resting on her shoulder, meeting her reflection in the handheld mirror. "I am very blessed," she agreed. Max and Ginger orchestrated a whole meeting, so what better way than to have them take part in our wedding? "Huh, girl?" she asked, directing her question to the newly brushed retriever, laying at her feet, wearing a pearl white sachet pouch that held Rick's diamond wedding band. Max would wear a similar pouch with hers. Her heart raced excitedly, anticipating the walk down the white-runnered aisle to where her groom would be standing, waiting for her, Max at his side. If she stepped back from the gazebo, covered in vines of blush pink roses, she could see her dashing groom, standing smart and tall in a summer suit of cream and tan. His eyes searched the folding white chairs where their wedding guests sat, looking for her. Her heartbeat picked up speed, her hands damp with perspiration as Annie pressed the pink and white bridal bouquet into her fingers. This was it, the long-awaited moment had finally come. Annie gave her a smile, kiss on the cheek, and began the walk to the front of the flower-covered arbor where Rick and the officiant stood. Breathing a prayer of thanks, gratitude spilling over in her heart, Stephanie touched her thigh to signify to Ginger that it was time to move. Together the pair floated down the steps, crossing beneath the sweeping gnarled willow tree, pausing at the top of the wide runner. At the throb of the familiar wedding march intro, they moved in unison to the front, Ginger anxious to reach her handsome canine, bedecked in a black satin bow. She wore a matching pair of bows in a soft pink over fluffy, golden ears. Stephanie barely heard their pastoress words as they repeated their vows, bowed heads in prayer over the romantic strains of a love ballad, and finally was introduced as husband and wife, so entranced with the love shining in Rick's eyes for her. Suddenly she was swept into his arms, closing her eyes on a soft sigh as he captured her mouth with his, sealing the promise of eternal love with a passionate kiss. The crowd interrupted as Max, followed by Ginger, gave an approving bark. As the newlyweds skipped down the aisle, followed by their faithful, furry comrades, the fluffy white clouds parted in the blue sky to reveal a band of rainbow colors. Rick and Stephanie grinned at each other as they ran across the grass to the bridal party. Brought together by matchmaking dogs and sealed with approval from their heavenly Father, what a beautiful, perfect day.